If you're in Seattle, and you need to buy or sell a home, we'll be right there for you. Because we're the realtors that you can trust. So go to ronanddonsitdown.com.
You're listening to The Ron and Don Show on the Ron and Don Radio Network.
Hey, you guys, what's going on? And welcome to another episode of the Ron and Don Show. And we are back live in the Les Schwab studio.
What is up, Ron and Don Nation?
Hey, coming up on the Ron and Don Show, Dave Ross is going to stop by again. If you didn't hear the Dave Ross interview, he stopped by on Monday's show.
This is the first time he's spoken since he retired from radio.
Yeah, what are you guys going to chat about this time?
I'm going to ask him about if he's concerned with his legacy. Dave Ross has kept 47 years worth of his show materials. So, and he's done stuff on a national level and the local level. So I'm going to be curious of where that ends up.
Yeah. Real quick, can we stop the show? Because you did something the other day that really...
Stop the show.
We were getting together to put the band back together, Country Evil, right? We're a little bit country, a little bit evil. We've recruited my son. My son is now in the band. And then Liz came, who is a drummer, but we couldn't set up drums in my living room. So I said, hey, bring some maracas or something you can kind of jingle jangle, which she did. By the way, she brought sleigh bells, and she brought the sleigh bells out after everyone left. And I'm like, why didn't we use the sleigh bells? This is a Christmas song that we're singing for our clients, our friends, and we'll release it on the internet here in the coming days. And when we do so, we'll kind of let you know. So I thought, you know what we'll do? We'll do an oldie but a goodie. I really wanted to do the Night Wind song. You know I wanted to do it.
It's a little bit long.
I thought you could be the Night Wind, she could be the Lamb, I would be the King, and then my son would just be the people everywhere, right? And Charlie the dog would play with Baby Jesus. We didn't get to it, but we took a lot of this equipment here. Matt was kind enough to help. You were kind enough. We took all the equipment over to my house. We got it set up. And then this is what I didn't know when we chose, or I chose, let's do Feliz Navidad.
Right.
You're dating someone where Spanish is their first, second, third, fourth, and fifth language.
Correct.
They know what's going down when it's Spanish time.
Correct.
I grew up in New Mexico, where the only Spanish I really know I learned in a dish room, and a lot of the Spanish is Spanglish. A lot of it's bad words that I'm really not supposed to repeat here, and I don't even know if I could remember them, but they're said to me now, especially when Enrique used to get mad at me because he was El Jefe in the dish room. He was the boss. Then I would know what he was saying. They used to call me Speedy Gonzalez in the dish room because I was the only white kid back there, and I was really fat. You can imagine, I was a pretty fast dishwasher. Anyway, we start doing Feliz Navidad, and it's very apparent that I'm singing all the words wrong.
Not all the words, but
Most of
the
and I was unaware that she was going to be there to correct my Spanish. I have to say, it was very, very intimidating, and I think I corrected it. And then
slipped right back into it.
And then I slipped right back into non-corrected Spanish.
You have been saying
and
the
I have
wrong...
to make an apology to her. I have to make an apology to all the Spanish speakers out there. I got a little nervous because I didn't know we were going to have a dialect coach there.
How does it feel to now realize you've been singing this song incorrectly for over 30 years?
It doesn't bother me, but it bothers me that it bothered her so much. And then I'm like, you know, it's not funny if it's bothering folks, right? It's funny if it's funny, and it might be funny to me, but it's not funny if it seems disrespectful. So I didn't want to appear to be disrespectful, but I was. And I slipped right back into disrespecting.
And I tried to say it correctly, so hopefully Matt mixes it.
Yeah, of course
he can make it sphere.
Was that the conversation in the car on the way home about I can't believe it's not? I can't
believe it's not butter.
I kept saying años.
No, that's not the wrong word.
What was the way año? And it's año, right?
Espero año.
Yeah, and I was saying año. No,
you're saying Esperos años.
That's what I was saying.
Right. Prospero.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Even I'm getting it wrong.
Yeah.
But it's 1 year.
Yeah.
So it's not a huge deal, but it's
well, you know what?
It's not the lyrics of the song. They'd be like, what would happen if a Spanish person was trying to sing John Denver lyrics and they kept singing the lyrics wrong, how much would that bother you?
Rocky Mountain Highs,
Right.
Colorado,
Rockies Mountain Highs.
Oh, I'd be pissed.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what was happening.
It'd be a hoedown throwdown.
It's like Neil's on the chalkboard.
No, I realize that, and I'm going to see her tonight again at the Pozole party.
Just apologize.
Which I'm probably not saying that correctly, and I just feel like, and then I even called. And you think Matt, who's the producer, would have called for the correction? I called for my own correction when we went through, and then you guys were in such a hurry to get out of there. I knew that the second time we went through and recorded it, that I'd slip back into my old ways.
Yeah.
And I was like, we got to record it again because I know that we did it incorrectly, and you guys just want to get out of there.
Why were they in a hurry to leave?
Yeah. Anyway, Dave Ross is coming up here in a moment. What are you and Dave going to chat about here first and foremost? I know that I talked to him a little bit. I wasn't planning to speak with him in the first episode on Monday to talk really about politics and Trump. I want to talk more about what it was like to grow up, and we didn't even get to this part. He grew up in his bedroom dreaming that he would do radio one day. And then what was really interesting, when his parents were passing away, he went back east and he returned to that bedroom. And while he was helping with some of their hospice care, he was beaming radio back to Seattle. And a lot of people didn't know that. So you guys are going to talk a little bit. And I think coming up here, he's going to touch on Dory Monson. And what's really interesting about he and Dory, when Dory passed away, Dave called me and he said, hey, people always think that Dave and I, or Dory and I, were always, going at each other. And it's like, no, we were friends that had a different perspective in a very civil, kind, interesting, but a very smart way. They would bring that to the radio on, for instance, like on election night. And there are conversations were some of the best conversations at Cairo that I like to listen to. And
at the end of the conversation, people need to listen to the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because I make a proposal to Dave. I don't think he was expecting it.
Okay.
And I think it took him. I saw the wheels start to turn in his mind a little bit. So there's an unexpected proposal that happens.
Because he's retired.
And Dave, I don't know what your take on that was, but the wheels were turning a little bit.
All right. The great Dave Ross, Cairo Radio, the second part of our interview. Mine was on Monday here on the Wednesday show. Ron's going to sit down with Dave on the other side of this.
If you have a friend that is ready to start their real estate journey, send them to ronanddonsitdown.com.
All right, welcome back to the Ron and Don Show. I am pleased to have Dave Ross here on the show. Dave, thanks for coming in.
You bet.
Really appreciate it. I know in the previous show, if people want to go back, Don did a really great interview with you. So I want to cover some different ground. How much do you pay attention now to the news?
Not as much as I used to. But, for example, yesterday I listened to the Supreme Court arguments on the injunction on birthright citizenship, because I wanted to see how that's going to turn out. I'm fascinated with that kind of stuff. I don't watch C-SPAN as just to put it in perspective. I would spend afternoons, as my wife will witness. I have computers set up around the house. One was connected to the TV. So every time I would sit in front of the TV and watch the news, or there'd be a big event, I'd be rolling audio and cutting things up and producing stuff in my so-called leisure time. I don't do that anymore, so I'm not as tuned into C-SPAN and CNN as I used to be. But I subscribe to the New York Times and the Washington Post and the Seattle Times, and I try to keep up to date on what interests me. But I no longer have to spend time figuring out lines of argument for a commentary. I just absorb it and say, okay, this is interesting, this is smart, this is dumb. And I keep my opinions to myself now.
Tell people what it was like. I was talking to Tom Tangney a while back, and he brought this up, and I had sort of forgot about it. Did you feel a pressure to not miss anything?
Yeah.
So in other words, people go, "Oh, Dave, you only work 4 hours a day. Like you're in, you're out, you're off. Like what a great job." What was it really like? What did it feel like when you were carrying that weight?
Well, yeah, I mean, I definitely felt a responsibility since I was talking to a large audience, and I did commentaries on CBS radio for 27 years, so a really large audience there. And the last thing you want is a call from an affiliate in New York saying, by the way, you got your facts wrong. So you fact check stuff, which means you read a bunch of sources. In other words, so I would, if you're interested in how my commentary process, a thought pops into my head, I write something down, I get it all polished up, and then I look and say, can I prove that? Can I prove that? Did that really happen? And then go back and do the fact checking. I do what I would assume the listeners would do in the age of the internet and Google my words to see what comes up. Also to see if somebody else came up with the same opinion and I could be accused of copying them. But I mean, it sticks with you the whole time. And the worst thing is you get something in the can, you send it to New York and you say, oh my gosh, did I check this out? Right?
Yeah.
And then you do, and oh, thank goodness you got that right.
Did you have any big
I had one, well, over things you wouldn't expect. I did one sort of humorous thing. It was I used to call it the news quiz, so I had the bell on the buzzer and everything. I got a call from New York, says, yeah, you got to change this. And I said, what's the problem? Well, you use Motel 6 as a punchline. Yeah, they're a sponsor. Oh, so I had to change that. But no, never any big snafu, which is good because that's the whole reason you go through the fact check.
So what did you do pre-internet?
Well, newspapers. I mean, you did what you could. We had wire services. So, and I would, back then I'd keep paper files. I'm still going through some of them now of, production sheets and supporting articles. I read the Washington, Science News, Washington Monthly, The Atlantic, sometimes the Seattle Times and the PI.
Well, if you had to fact check something, would you go to the library? Like, how would you?
No, it would not be that. It would be what source did I get the story from? So I'd have to be able to, usually the story springs from something I'd read in a magazine. And I would assume that most magazines have fact-checked it. I have the Encyclopedia Britannica, right? Although I admit it was of limited use.
Sure.
I have it now just because it looks nice. But I only cracked it a handful of times. But part of it is also instinct. I mean, I learned long ago in the news business, if it sounds too good or too bad, double check it because life is not theater, right? If anything if the story is too pat, just check it out to make sure you're not being taken for a ride.
So you do this for 47 years. Mm-hmm. Did you have what I would call withdrawals? Like you'd been doing the same thing for a long time and then it's.
Oh, you mean in retirement?
Yeah.
I don't know. What would you say, Patty? I don't think so. I have not lacked for things to do, mostly because we're, as I was mentioning, downsizing. But there are other things that I can do now that I could not
you just shed
before.
Off this routine you've done for decades.
Because remember the routine involved getting up at 3:57 in the morning, right? And sort of, in a way, agonizing over whether you would make a fool of yourself that day because you're dealing with a lot of information in a short period of time. You're not an expert. Will you get it right or wrong? Mm-hmm. Answering letters, taking care of emails from people who thought you've screwed up, and some who were, really nice. What else would happen? Well, I'll tell you the one thing that I guess I kind of miss is office gossip. It is interesting to, hear what people have to say. Generally, I try to stay out of the office loop. I leave that to Ursula.
You were great.
Yeah. But I work with some brilliant people.
Sure.
Right. And to have the debates I had with them, especially Dory Monson. The few times we had debates, some big public ones like in Westlake Mall over the stadium. I mean, those are things that are the experience of a lifetime to me. Trying to hold your own in a debate with really smart people. Jason Rance, we used to have occasional debates. We covered the convention together, and that was just a kick.
I enjoy the same thing. I always would tell people, it's like, oh, if I had a question about the NFL, there's an NFL quarterback down the hall. If I had a question about the Middle East, I'd go to Dave's after. You were in the Middle East, right? Like you had people around you that were legit that you had access to day in and day out.
Yeah. And so you don't get that. But, there are a lot of smart. The book clubs I'm in, we've got some brilliant, ordinary people in this town, right, who are well-read and have traveled the world.
How long did it take Dave Ross to decompress? Was there a moment that you woke up in retirement? And
the first day after, I said, I don't have to worry about anything today.
So just like that, overnight.
I can turn around. I did not have any dark night of the soul saying, what have I done? I think I could say that I ended up doing more than I expected. I'd never expected to be sitting in the Oval Office with the sitting president, for crying out loud. I never expected to run for office myself. I tell you, the one thing I miss is actually not do the radio. It's the Seattle Gilbert and Sullivan Society. I used to do shows with them every year. It was our sort of a big part of our social circle. I got a real kick out of
you were practically a rapper.
Performing. Yeah.
Dave Ross has bars.
Oh yeah. No, I can talk fast.
Yeah.
And I was happy to. Sometimes I'll search the internet, and there are video clips of our stuff there that I can still see about how I was able to dance when I was younger. Not well, but still acceptably. And so, that part I miss.
So I'm curious how you think about sort of where media and technology is going, because a lot of people may not remember. You used to do a computer
Chip Talk.
Yeah. Like you were on sort of the cutting edge of explaining computers to people when they were in personal computers. So you followed media changes for a long, long time.
Yeah.
And everyone always says this is unlike anything we've ever seen. I'm sure you've heard that phrase for 50 years. Is this changes unlike anything we've ever seen?
Well, yeah. I mean, everybody's a broadcaster now, and that's caused. It's been good. It's certainly allowed the cream of the crop to rise to the top. Right? You put out, if you're a talented singer, you put something on YouTube. You don't have to worry about catching the eye of an agent, a talent scout. You can do it yourself, which is great. The problem is that when people then put themselves in the news business and start spreading false stuff, it screws things up. The one nice thing about professional journalism is your job depends on being accurate. The idea that there's fake news or stuff made up, no professional organization works that way. And the way you can tell is just, Google your news source and see if they've ever issued any corrections. If they haven't, don't use them.
Right.
So, it's a firing offense in the journalism business to make something up.
Does journalism still exist in the way that you knew it?
Well, I mean, sure, it exists. There are plenty of professional journalists out there, but it's hard to be a professional journalist now because, again, the demand is being satisfied by so many other unpaid sources. I've given a couple of speeches since retiring, and I have a couple of messages. Always vote in every election, and check out stuff before you forward it, because if not, you're a big part of the problem. I would fire you if I employed you. But I'm not going to, condemn the internet because, it's a fantastic research tool. I use AI to speed up searches and to do research now. It's a tremendous tool, but of course everything can fall into the wrong hands and be abused. Just, don't be dumb. I think people have a spidey sense when they're being fed a line. I know which emails to delete without opening them. I mean, I think most of us are developing that. So just do more of that.
So to that thing, don't be dumb. When you see a constant feed of dumb things, How big of a population do you think that is? What percentage of the people? Is it
know.
millions? Because people always go, oh, 52 million Americans did this. It's like, did they? I don't know if they did. I don't know if it's really that big of a cross section.
I always give feedback when my MSN feed puts something dumb on the air that's clearly some kind of AI slop. I just say, why are you putting this here? I mean, you've got people employed there who are professionals. Don't put this crap on my computer. But all I can do is rely on the wisdom of the marketplace. I just don't go to sites that are stupid.
So what captures your curiosity now? You've been a naturally curious person your whole life. That doesn't turn off when you retire. What's capturing?
Well,
your
I want to
attention
figure
these
out how
days?
gravity works. Because it causes, I mean, it's very good. It's very useful. All life depends on it, but it's also a real problem when you're getting out of bed in the morning. But I still follow politics. I still watch C-SPAN from time to time. I'm very curious to see where the Trump movement is going and how resilient the American form of government is. Does it have those circuit breakers built in that can protect us from tyranny? In other words, is the Constitution wired well enough to protect us from tyranny on its own, or does it really depend on electing the right people? I guess it's a combination. I do think the voters, I don't accept this argument that, we had no idea that this was going to happen. I'm sorry, you knew exactly what was going to happen because people like me were telling you. And not all of it's bad. Like I've said before, people want to see action. They don't want to see a lot of waffling around. They want to see authenticity. And Donald Trump is authentically authoritarian. I will say, I remember when we traveled to places like China and the old Soviet Union, I would think, why would people just allow this, let themselves be bossed around in this way? I mean, what a flawed system that this could ever happen. Now I see exactly how it can happen.
Is there a Ross contingency plan? Have you daydreamed about that?
I'm prepared for an earthquake. Therefore, I've got water everywhere, as my wife will testify. When are you going to get rid of the bottles of water? Well, when I no longer think they're necessary, dear.
But you aren't up at 2 a.m. surfing properties in Portugal or anything like that.
No. I'm an American through. One of the things world travel will tell you is that we are darn lucky here.
Yes, we are
to be in this country.
Very well. Okay, so you have saved everything from all time. Do you think about legacy?
Well, yeah, but only what I want my kids to read after I'm gone. So I'll go through that. In terms of my broadcast legacy, I don't know. I don't how much of that. When I listen to my old stuff, none of it's important. All the commentaries are dated.
But it does show a window into a time and a place. You're going through this archive. Is the archive going to live somewhere?
Well,
Or
right
just
now
in
it
your
lives
house?
in a couple boxes in my house. I'm slowly digitizing the ones that I like. A problem because apparently we used very low quality tape back then because the oxide's coming off. But I'm saving the ones that I thought were funny or smart, and I've got files of all the commentaries. And
Because even something like a Chip Talk,
Yeah.
I'm sure some of that
I've got all 3,000 of them. So and it is interesting to say, once upon a time it was news. It was a big audience grabber to describe what a CPU did, at your
Right.
computer, right? So
I mean, to me, that has value as
Yeah.
just in some sort of context, whether that's online
Well,
or
I think I've got websites I don't even know about anymore. I think I have chiptalk.com. That's still there. So there's still some leftover stuff on there. I've got daveross.com, which has a very limited selection of songs and clips from some of my acting, some of my performances. But I haven't put together a comprehensive archive.
Well, I hope that maybe someday we can have access to the
I think I was going
highlights.
to will it all to Felix Bonnell.
And
You
then,
go through this, you figure
Yeah,
out. if
you
it's
figure
worth
out what's
anything.
important or not.
Because I've seen it all.
and then total change out of left field.
Yeah.
What's the best part of being a grandpa?
Watching these kids learn. Oh my gosh. Well, our older one is now reading like crazy. She's formed a reading habit. She wants to read everything. Our younger one was started out being a big fan of cars for some reason. Didn't care about dolls or doll houses, but boy, you give her a little Matchbox car and she'll play with that forever. Now I think they're both into Pokemon. They surprise you every time. We're just back visiting our older daughter who just turned 7 there for her birthday. And they have a finished attic upstairs on the 3rd floor where nobody really goes. But the secret entrance to it is from her bedroom. And so she set up a space club, and she's got a telescope up there. And she was the planetary advisor, Dr. Olivia, and I was Dr. David, the manager of the space lab. And we were up there for, hours. I was so exhausted, I was just finally lying down on the floor up
Hal,
there.
open the pod door.
She was teaching me about Saturn and its rings and the number of moons on Jupiter and the methane atmosphere. She's 7, for crying out loud.
Right.
And we were up for hours, right? My daughter was so grateful that she was free to, correct papers and things like that while we were playing
That's
upstairs.
fantastic,
But
though.
that stuff is just priceless. And our younger granddaughter, who's she's 6, she's 5, she'll be 6. Watching her read and play and make up things. She would make up dance routines where grandma would read a verse of Russian poetry or whatever it was. And then we'd put on King FM for background music, and we'd use the closet as a stage. So she'd open the closet door, come out and do this dance, this artistic
That's amazing.
dance to this while grandma narrated. I mean, you can't find that on C-SPAN,
No.
Ron. You can't find that on C-SPAN.
Is there something that you had thought about before coming in to talk to me and Don that we didn't get to?
I got to meet my childhood idol, Captain Kangaroo, and I still have a picture with Captain Kangaroo. And that just, follow your heart, because it worked for me, is all I can say.
Nice.
It worked for me.
Well, I'm going to speak on behalf of Don. If you ever have a commentary where you're just walking around, you're like, you know what, the world needs to know what Dave Ross thinks about this. Please come back and use this, our little set in Ballard.
Yeah?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Sometimes, something happens where you're like, the world needs to know what Dave Ross thinks about this thing.
I'll have to mull that over. The thing is, the minute you say that, now I'm thinking again, and I'm no longer retired.
Okay. So I'm letting you know it's always here for you, Dave.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming in.
You bet.
All right, he's Dave Ross, everybody. Find him at daveross.com or chiptalk.com.
Yeah.
How does the CPU even work?
Hasn't been updated since 2008. So
Doesn't bother me. Thanks, Dave.
Thanks for being a part of the Ron and Don Nation. Subscribe to the Nation News at ronanddonsitdown.com. A behind-the-scenes look at everything Ron and Don.
All right, you guys, welcome back to the Ron and Don Show, and that was a thrill to sit down.
So
with Dave.
I wanted to say his stuff should be in a museum, but I was afraid that he would not take that as a compliment.
Yeah.
Because it's like, whoa, am I like, what are you saying? That I'm an artifact?
Yeah.
But don't you feel like some of his material should be, I don't know, maybe Mopop or a radio museum?
He did some, that's a great point, Ron.
It should be somewhere.
He did some really interesting and really important reporting, even as a reporter. And when he was saying in our conversation with him, I used to give my opinion, you never really felt like he was given you.
He wasn't talking down to you.
And you felt like he was giving you more information than he was an opinion, and he wasn't trying to make you feel or think a certain way.
The thing that I love about Dave Ross, and even when we talk with him in person and on the air, if you could convince him that your position was correct, he would change his mind.
Yeah.
And he's one of the most open-minded people that I've ever met. And his individual politics on topics all got there because of a logic train. He
Yep.
would jump on it, and if you were able to convince him that MAGA was correct and that he should be a Republican, and you gave him enough data that supported that, he would change his mind.
We'd get him a red hat.
And he would go down that road. And so he's an incredible critical thinker and someone that is open to changing his mind. And I don't think you find that a lot in this world.
No. How do you describe when he would be at the radio station? And I thought for the first couple of years, maybe he doesn't like me.
I'm pretty sure he doesn't like you.
Yeah. And he would just sit there at his desk with these stacks of books. And then he would go on the air and he would be so dynamic, or you'd go see him at a play and he was so dynamic. He's the ultimate introvert extrovert, isn't he?
I think he knows when to turn it on.
Yeah.
Like people, we've known people in radio that have it turned on when it's inappropriate, when you shouldn't have it turned on.
John Curley would be turned on all the time. Even Tom Tangney, and I'm not saying appropriate, inappropriate. Dan Restion, when you were out in the newsroom, and I loved it. Those guys were always turned on, and the conversations you heard off air, they were just as spirited in the newsroom.
I remember there was a guy, I think we were in Phoenix when we were working there, and we were out at a restaurant or something, and he'd be like, "I'd like some extra chips, please." And you're like, "Dude, we're not on the radio right now.
Yeah.
You don't have to be radio guy when you're ordering extra chips.
Yeah.
Just let it go."
Who else should we drag in here? Who have you wanted to talk to?
I want to get
Tom.
Tom Tangney in here because him and I saw him a while back, and he still watches movies and television and is an award-winning critic. Doesn't see as many as when he was doing it professionally, but we got to talking about a couple modern movies, and we went down the Philip Seymour Hoffman rabbit hole and talking about that. And so I would love to get Tom back in here to talk. He, I don't know if I can say what he was up to. I haven't asked him, so I'll leave that be.
Cool thing was we recently, Rachel Bell and Tina Knoll, who's our producer and Dave's producer, also recently kind of had a backyard barbecue where we all got together. And Rachel, I think, wanted to kind of recreate, because was it 10 years that she was at Cairo, or celebrating 10 years?
No, I think it was 20 years since she first arrived in Seattle. And so she wanted to get together with people, her first iteration.
You can't play the Rachel Bell theme?
I could probably play the Rachel Bell theme.
I mean, it seems like a perfect opportunity, if you ask me.
You can ring my bell, Rachel Bell. You can ring my bell, Rachel Bell.
It's interesting, when Rachel first came on, she already did a stint at Cairo Radio, and then when she was in Japan. And I know we reached out, and Ron, I think you chatted with her and said, "Hey, we want you to come and just do stories that you care about." And she's like, "I can't come back there." And because, Cairo at the time was doing, if a trash can was on fire, they go cover it, just kind of the breaking news thing. And she's like, "I can't do that. I don't want to be in a news car covering those stories." And we said, "Well, then just come do the stories that you want to do. And then we want to have you on." And Ring My Bell came from just do stories that are ringing your bell, that you care about, that you want to chat about. And it was a big hit. And I remember we would look at the ratings, and when Rachel would come on, when we initially got at Cairo, they didn't like us having women on. They're like, "Why do you have women on? They're news anchors, they're reporters. They're not supposed to give their opinions. They're just supposed to speak
Give you
with
traffic."
Yeah. And it was all male all the time. And we're like, well, that's why you only have men that listen. And if you want a number that's 25, 54 persons, then you have to appeal to women. So we said, we're not going to take phone calls anymore. We're going to put women on, and we're going to start elevating women, which is what we started to do. And when the other shows started mimicking that, they joined us with great ratings as well. That's when you saw Ursula, for instance, who I'm so proud of. Her career started to take off. You see Colleen O'Brien there. Her career really started to take off. And a lot of that was because of Rachel. And I remember going upstairs talking to Carl Gardner one time, who was the GM at the time, and he wanted to put her on the chopping block and fire her. And I said, "Don't fire her. Just take some money out of whatever it is that you're paying me and paying Ron, you're welcome. Just take it out of our paycheck." And he goes, "I just don't get it." And I said, "Well, Carl, you're into your 60s. You're not supposed to get it. We're not doing it for you. 2554 is 2554. And if you don't elevate women, and if you don't allow women to come on here and to be stars, and you don't elevate them on the platform, you're never going to chase that number that you've been chasing. To his credit, she says now, and he's been retired for a number of years. She says now that he is one of her biggest supporters, that he contacts her all the time when he sees her on TV and writing her cookbook and doing all that. So you can teach an old dog new tricks, which is kind of cool. So, well, we've had Rachel on before. We'll have to get her back in with Your Last Meal. Tom would be great. Dan Restione, who used to work in our newsroom, would be very, very interesting to talk to. God bless Dory. Would love to have Dory on, but that would seem to be a little impossible to do. But a lot of great people there at Kyle Radio that we got to work with and for. And I would say all the great archives come back around. If Dave were to give those to Phoenix Bennell, you know that Phoenix would do something.
Felix?
Did I just call him Phoenix?
Phoenix Jones.
Phoenix Jones. Give those to the great superhero Phoenix Jones.
Phoenix Bennell.
And then he can beat up Dave like he used to. Yeah. Sorry about that. Mutual combat. No, if you gave those to Felix, don't you think Felix would do something with that?
I would hope that he would.
Of course he would.
Yeah, I mean, it deserves to be somewhere.
He does, yeah. All right, we got to go. And in the spirit of Donald Trump, I have to ask you, I just read I just read a story about him that he doesn't exercise because he feels like you only have so much energy in the day, and he doesn't want to waste.
No, that's not what he feels.
He doesn't want to waste his energy on exercise.
No, that's not
Is that
what
right?
he feels.
Oh, what
he
does
feels
he
that
feel?
every person is built with it's like you when you're born, you have like a battery.
Okay.
And as you age, the battery level goes down, like on your iPhone.
Oh.
And when it gets to 0, you die.
Okay.
It's not daily. It's
I like
for your
it.
whole life.
Yeah. I don't agree with him on a lot of things. Maybe that's true.
I don't agree with that.
You
at all.
don't?
Every medical professional in the world doesn't agree with that either.
I think he's going to be around a long time. He's never drank, he says, and he's never smoked.
I
He's
don't
never
think
done
that he
illicit
is.
drugs. I think he might be around
Some
for a long
serious health issues going right
I
now.
think he might be around. Well, just because you have health issues doesn't mean you're not around for a long time.
The health issues he has does.
Okay, very good. Anything else you'd like to share before
Nope.
we go? All right. Thanks, Dave Ross, for being on the show
Thanks,
today.
Dave.
Yeah. Also, thanks to Matt off the mic, Grace for working on our studio, an 8-year-old version of my son, G-Force O'Neill, who came in 3rd place in his wrestling tournament
Congrats
the other day.
to him.
Man, he's tough. He made the other kid bleed, too. I
bet you loved it.
I couldn't have been prouder. Ron, you should see his lunchbox when he goes to school now. I'm like, I made a big mistake.
His lunch suitcase?
I said, you're going to make your own lunches now. All he does is open up the refrigerator, and the middle row is where I kind of keep all the lunch stuff. He just takes his arm. And
Puts all of it in a briefcase.
I was looking this morning. I went, are you going to eat all this? He goes, by noon. Man, is it expensive. Food's expensive out there. Yeah. Anyway, I want to thank him. Of course, Charlie the dog. He's Ron. I'm Don. If you need us, just reach out. Go to ronanddonsitdown.com. We'd love to sit down with you today. And don't forget, we are great real estate brokers. We sell the sound. All our listeners live all over the sound. If you're buying, selling, investing, let's sit down and come up with a strategy now. ronanddonsitdown.com. All right? In the meantime, you keep your head up and your shoulders back. Don't forget, you've been listening to the Ron and Don Show. All right! On the Ron and Don Radio Network.
Thanks for listening to the Ron and Don Show. Please hit subscribe.